Hello, everybody, and welcome to our third Wisdom of Women interviews, where every week I interview an inspiring woman and inspire and invite her to share her wisdom with us all. And for those of you that don't know me, I'm Sarah Grace. I'm on a mission to help professional women who have experienced sexual abuse as children and are now overworking in an attempt to keep the lid on those that inner turmoil, those inner feelings that we don't know what to do with, to reclaim their inner peace, self-love and worthiness without losing all that they have worked so hard to achieve. So to find out more about how I can help you, please pop over and visit www.livinglimitlessly.co.uk. And that's enough about me. Today we are all about the beautiful Sarah Grant. So before we start, Sarah, I just want to acknowledge everybody that is watching for the outpourings of love and kindness that I've had over the last few days since Dad died on Sunday. I am not going to talk much about it because I am likely to lose it, and I'm holding it together at the moment, so we're going to just stay with that. I'm acknowledging you all, saying thank you so much for all of the beautiful message. I have had hundreds. It's been absolutely beautiful, and to know that he was so loved and I'm so loved has been a great comfort. And I will share when his funeral is going to be for those of you who want to come. So thank you so much. Oh, and breathe.
Oh,
So thank you, Sarah, for being here.
and thank
Sarah
you.
Sarah is, I'm going to have to read this because I have no retention at the moment. Sarah is an image consultant and she calls herself the Onion Chef, which she'll explain in a minute, I'm sure. And Sarah's going to talk to us today about finding our worth and our purpose. So, welcome, Sarah. Welcome to
Oh,
the
thank you,
Wisdom of
Sarah,
Women
for
interviews.
having me.
My
Yeah.
pleasure, darling. My pleasure. So, Sarah, what is it that you do to bring value to the world, and why are you passionate about it, and why the Onion Chef? Please share.
Oh, where do I start? So I suppose my being an image consultant and I'm an NLP practitioner, it started must be about 15 years ago now because my husband left. He didn't just leave me; he left with a friend of mine. Um, so that is where my journey started. Um, because obviously it left me in a really dark place for a couple of years. I've got 3 children. And it was my process that got me from a really negative into the biggest positive I have, I suppose. So it started off after a couple of years, a friend said, "Come on, Sarah, let's get you on a dating website." So I did that and we had lots of fun. It was sort of lifting me and boosting my confidence. And then I remember a particular day I thought, I can't keep living in this cauldron that was spinning around of all this negativity. So I remember there's a program called The Prisoner. Yes, I don't know if you remember it.
I do, yes.
And Patrick McGowan used to run across the beach and a big ball would come out of the ocean and engulf him. And that's what I saw that day. So I grabbed this ball and it wasn't going to engulf me. And all the issues that I had at the time, the emotions that were going on, I just threw them into this ball. And then every time I needed to deal with something, I'd go in and get something out, deal with it. If I couldn't, I popped it back in. Don't get me wrong. That ball, things were always trying to pop out of this ball and I'd push it back again. But it was one of those coping strategies that really worked for me, because sometimes when we look at life or whatever happens, it is so big that we can't cope. So by chunking it down and dealing with it bit by bit, so that was sort of a way I coped. And then a friend said her friend was opening a clothing shop. Would I do a couple of days? And my background as a young child was always creative. I'm not an academic. And for me, I love being creative because I am never, ever bored. And I've always loved designing clothing. I've sewn all my life. And I thought, great, love fashion. So I worked there for a while, and it was there that people used to say it was like having a counselling session with you, Sarah,
Mm.
because I love listening and I'll always listen to people. And they
Mhm.
said, you should be a stylist. And I thought, no, that's too shallow for me. But the more I went into it, basically, I did train as an image consultant. And then it was there that somebody talked about NLP, which is the neuro linguistic programming. And I thought, this is fascinating. So I did it for me. And as I'm doing it, I'm thinking, gosh, if I helps me, it will help my clients.
Mm.
So that's why I bring that into my work, because it's not always about the clothes. Most of the time, it's not about the clothes. It's always other underlying issues. And when I use the onion chef, the reason I say that is when we cut an onion open, not always, and we can't make assumptions, we'll often get tears.
Mm.
Um, and it's a bit like us when we take the layers off. I help you look at those tears. If they're there, I
Mm.
can't get rid of those tears, but I may help you look at them in a different way. And then we start putting the layers back on. And then the crunchy bit is your clothing.
Fantastic.
Or what you can look at it the other way is if you get the outside, the external, looking and feeling. It's always, to me, it's about how we feel. The look is secondary. It's how you feel. And
Mm.
if you're feeling great, it's most probably giving you that bit more confidence then to maybe look at the internal dialogue that's going on with yourself. So that's why I like to call myself the onion chef.
What a fantastic name, Sarah. I really like that. Just want to say hello to Claire, who's popped
Oh,
on
hello,
Facebook.
Claire.
If you are watching on Facebook, please just say hello, say replay if you're watching on the replay, and tell us where you're watching from. It's always lovely to get your messages. It encourages us. And if you've got any questions that you'd like to ask Sarah, please pop them in the chat, because although I am incapable of answering by typing at this moment, can't do all that, that I can certainly read them out, and that would be wonderful. So, Sarah,
So,
where did you grow up, and how did that influence what you do now?
where did I grow up? I grew up in near Blackheath, Lee Greenway, and my childhood was different because the day my mum went in to give birth to me, my dad went into hospital with a major heart attack. So
Mm.
she went to one hospital, he went to the other, and he lived for exactly 3 years and 10 months before he died. And I always remember on my mum's wedding anniversary, it's 22nd of December, it was the first one. So she didn't sit and mope.
Mm.
She loved children. She hosted children's parties at Christmas time, and we lived in a very small house, but had so much love. My mum was amazing. All my friends say to me, "I've never met anyone like your mum, Sarah."
Oh,
So
beautiful.
I'd always grown up with her not having a male around me,
Mm.
in those, like, from the age of what, from 3 years and 10 months.
Mhm.
So even though I remember bits of my dad, not that much,
Mhm.
but then she met Les. We used to call him to begin with Uncle Les. He wasn't. And he was the kindest, most loveliest man I think I've ever met.
Mm.
And he became my stepdad. He was
Nice.
wonderful, but then sadly he passed away just after I had my eldest daughter, Natalie, who's 35. So
Right.
it was, and I was
Mm.
with him when he died. So to
Mm.
me, that was a privilege. So
Mm.
it was hard. But I suppose I look back on the strength that my mum had and the resilience. Even though she was a very soft, gentle, kind person, obviously she had that drive in her.
Mm.
And she always believed in me. She always encouraged me. Whatever I
Mm.
did, she'd always boost me up. Not
Mm.
in an egotistical way, but in a really loving way. Um,
Mm.
yeah, no, she was amazing. So she gave me confidence, even though I struggled with being really, really shy. I mean, if my tummy
Right.
rumbled, my tummy
Yeah.
would rumble, and I used to shy away and get so embarrassed. I used to go so red. It's life, isn't it? As we grow with
Mm.
confidence and we
How
find,
how did you go from being a very sort of insecure, shy girl who went red when her tummy rumbled to being somebody out there with this wonderful business you've got
I
now?
know.
How did that happen?
I was going to be a teacher, then ended up and having a hairdressing job in Mayfair in the summer holidays. And they said, Sarah, you're so good at this. Said to my mum, she should become a hairdresser. I enjoyed it. So that's what happened. And obviously, I was working with royalty. I had to come out my shell. Don't get me wrong, I was still going red. um,
You
but
were
it's
working with
like,
royalty. That mhm. How
yeah.
tell us a bit more about that.
David, who I worked for, he was with the Duchess of Kent, and she was lovely. She was
Wow.
so nice, and she used to chat to me because I always wanted to do fashion designing as well. And she was really good friends with Zandra Rhodes, and she was
Yes.
going to speak to her. But then I left, and then she went and had a baby. But I went back and worked for David, it's David and Joseph, and she still remembered me.
Oh, how lovely.
And she was lovely. We used to have Princess Margaret. That was
Yeah.
interesting. Um, I'll say no more. Oh, I had the great time. I remember going to, Heinz Soups.
Yeah,
Heinz. I
yeah.
remember going to Mrs. Heinz' place. I can't
Mhm.
remember where it was in the country. I had to do loads of hair. That was interesting. So yeah, I loved it. So I had to come out of my shell,
Mm,
and I'd say really coming out of my shell majorly is since being in business and actually doing public speaking
mm,
and actually believing that I can do this. I can
mm.
surge forward.
So you do public speaking as well, do you?
I did a course, and
Right.
yes, I remember. I don't know if anyone who was watching that when you've gone to do networking and you got your 1 minute pitch. I remember the
Yes.
very first time I went, I was thinking, right, what am I going to say? What am I going to say? No, like it was all the time and thinking, oh my
Mhm.
god. Whereas now, I can't wait.
Mm,
So
mm,
it's everything is about the more you do it, the more you trust and believe that you can, you will.
mm,
And don't get me wrong, if somebody said to me, Sarah, I need you to go and speak to 100 people, don't get me wrong, I'd be fearful because fear is the thing that pushes you forward. It's the
mm,
thought of is worse than sometimes the doing it.
mm, mm,
Um, so yes, and obviously I love doing lives on Facebook or Instagram, and I'm happier doing a live and a pre-recorded because I'm me. And if I'm, there's nothing like no one's perfect, and there's no such word anyway.
mm,
So I just am me, and that's
mm.
what I think when we're authentic selves. That's what people love. They don't want to hear somebody memorizing something. If you do it wrong or you end up maybe you burp in the middle of it. I'm not saying you will, but do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's all part
yeah,
of who we
mm.
are.
Yeah, absolutely. So how does what you do help us find our worth and purpose? How does what you do steer us along that route?
Well, I suppose when I talk about, I'll go back to the Onion Chef and why I use it and helping people. As I said, it's not about always about the clothes. But I had a lady; she was about 70, um, and I said to her, she wanted a skirt and top. I said, "Would you wear trousers?" And she went, "Absolutely not." The hands came up. I thought, "Oh, what's going on there?" And when I asked her why you won't wear them, she said, because my father told me I had a big bottom when I was a little
Mm.
girl. And I thought, oh, that is
Oh, I know that one.
so sad, so sad.
Mm,
So where we were, we did a little bit of work. She had a few tears, which for me, they were good tears. Often clients might have a few tears, but I always know they're good tears. They're not bad. You know that
mm,
something has been released. It's given them, allow them to let something go. Anyway, I
Mhm.
spoke to her about 4 weeks later. She'd absolutely love everything I bought, Sarah, but my main concern was, "Are you wearing trousers?" And she said, "All the time."
Wow. So what do you think
So,
happened there? What do you think happened with your
but I did
consultation?
a little bit of a timeline on her. So I took her back to when she was a little girl, and we kept going backwards and forwards. And I think it was me taking her through that, taking her back to when she was a little girl, which most probably had never explored before. Most probably didn't
Mhm.
know she could because we get stuck
Yeah.
in that childlike.
Yeah.
It just released something. And also, she agreed to try some trousers on. And because I
Yeah.
knew her body shape,
Yeah.
um, she put them on, and straight away her body stood tall. And she said, "Oh, wow, I like those." So
Mm.
it's that side of it. It's just gradually doing those little layers. So to me, as I said, it's not the clothes, it's the internal work. Um,
But so how did you know that she was gonna look good in trousers? How so she walked into your establishment and you looked at her. What sort of goes through your mind when you meet a client for the first time? What are you thinking? What are you how are you gonna help them?
well, it depends when I mean, when a client comes to me, the situation we were in was somewhere completely different. But if they're coming to me, I'll always start with color first. Because what's the first thing you see when you wake up? Color.
Mhm,
What's the first thing you see when you go into a shop? Color.
mhm,
And our life is color. And I often do a visualization where you've got two wardrobes. You open the one on the left, inside is this really black, dark, dismal day, everything that goes with those emotions. And then I get them to close it, open the other one where you've got the blue sky and everything that comes with the warmth of the sun, all that sort of thing. And because lots of people are resistant to color. But when you do that visualization, which takes about no more than about 8 minutes, it's
mm,
enough to make them think, and the feelings that come with those dark, dismal days and dark clothing,
mm,
etc. And 99.9% of the people want to open the colourful one, but I had one lady who
mm,
wanted to open the black one
mhm.
because she wanted to hide, and yet she had pink hair.
Ah,
It wasn't in the situation, it wasn't right. It wasn't, it was on a Zoom. So it was just interesting.
mm,
Um, So it's really helping you to get confidence, not just by the way you look. It's about the feeling of it.
mm,
Um, with my client, I knew I'd known her body shape. I knew her as finding out about her personality because you can't dress somebody unless you know who they are. You
right,
know,
so you looked at the colours and then you
and
talk
then
to the person and find their personality and look at their body shape while you're talking to them. Is that kind of what you're
yeah,
going through
so
as you
they'll always start with a color analysis first, and then they will do the body shape. And lots of people will say, I'm a pear, I'm a rectangle. I don't work like that because you could be a rectangle, but you could have a big bust or a small bust. So I
mm,
do with, are you straight? So your silhouette is straight. Have you got a little bit of a waist, or have you got a voluptuous? And
mhm,
then I deal with every different area. It could be your bust, your neck, the thickness of your neck. Have you got short neck, long neck, your shoulders, are you
mm,
sloping shoulders? And then it's really tailored, individual to you. It's not a generic, because nobody's
yeah,
generic.
no,
And then once we get that, then we look at the personality.
right,
Because, if you're a dramatic wardrobe personality, you're big and you're bold. Um, and and that's a big questionnaire that people fill out. It's a multiple choice because
right,
nobody is just one personality. So I work with it like dramatic, natural, classic, gamine, and romantic. And when we
yeah, yeah,
understand our personalities, then it makes, when you know your colours, you
mhm.
know, you go into a shop and I know my colours. If I don't see my colour patterns there, I walk out.
Yes, exactly. I had my colours done about,
Did you?
oh, Lucienne, when was it? It was probably about 5 years ago, and it absolutely changed my life. Yeah. absolutely changed my life and made shopping so much easier once I'd had my colours and my style done. As you say, I now know why I used to have all these tops that came up here and roll necks I would never wear because I need my chest open to
Same as
because
me.
of my shape. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
Uh,
is. It's the most amazing thing that you can do is to have your colors and your style, and it's such a nurturing thing I think for us women to do because, like you said, it's so much more than just the
it's
clothes, isn't it?
it's so much more than the clothes. Yeah, and it does. And people think, oh, it's going to be so much money, etc. Now, I was going to do a post, about am I expensive or not?
Mm,
Because I mean, I was looking the other day, and some people are charging £800 or 795 for 4 hours of personal shopping. I think
mm,
you can come on a styling retreat for less than that and spend time with
mm,
me, and so I'm more about helping people. I'm,
mm,
I don't, people said to me, Sarah, go to London and you can earn X amount of money. I said, that's not what I'm about. That's not
yeah.
me. I would rather have more clients, less money. I know people say, well, that's not efficient. I said, but
Mm,
it's about what fulfills my heart.
yeah.
And if I can help people
Mhm,
to feel confident, which in return will make them look fabulous because they'll be standing upright, they'll be feeling good. Um, to me, it has a massive
mm.
impact.
So who do you work with, Sarah? Do you work with men and women of all ages, or who do you work with?
Most of my clients are midlife women. I did work with a professor at Oxford University, which was really
Mhm,
interesting. I
mhm,
had the most amazing time because I will never take anybody shopping blind because
mhm,
I wouldn't know anything about them. But I had built up a profile. He didn't need a color analysis. I did it for me. I was working through his wardrobe, so I was building it up, and I knew he was a natural by talking to him before. So that was interesting. But most of my clients are midlife, and I think because I know my body shape's changed. I mean, I'm 64, and I know I've got a muffin. And so my stomach is flat, but I have that muffin at the side. And where I used to wear tops, I could wear them tucked in, unless I've got higher waisted trousers, which are no good for me because I'm short waisted. So
mm,
it's you've got to relearn how to dress for your body shape.
mm,
And they're the hints and the tips. So I
mm,
know what people are going through, and especially people that've got like empty nest syndrome, people that have been through divorce.
mm.
Um, I know. I don't know what they're feeling, but I have an understanding of what they're feeling because I've been through it. So, and
Yeah,
I think when we've
yeah.
been through it, like your story, we can have
Mm,
much more empathy because we've been there and
mhm,
done it.
mm,
So
mm, mm,
it
mm.
does make.
So what would you say are the results that ladies who work with you, gentlemen that work with you, what are some of the things they say to you as a result of having worked with you and experienced what it's like to have been Sarah granted?
Oh, it's interesting because through lockdown, I thought none of we could go shopping. So on Instagram, I did come window shopping in my wardrobe each week. So I'd get this. I've got this lovely little um, ornate rail. I put and I one week I do all about my neutrals. Another week I was talking about underwear, and then I'd post pictures. And there was a lady that contacted me there and who came on a styling retreat, one of the luxury styling retreats. And what she said to me, she said, I didn't come just for colour and style. She said, I came for your energy. And to
Mm,
me, that was the most loveliest compliment. So when people come, yeah, they just, and I had a little retreat a little while ago, and a lady bought clothes and had never tried them on. She bought them, never tried them on, and never will. And
mm,
she said because she knew they were going to look horrible on her. We had a few tears, but that again, they were good tears. But when she learned the reasons why they're not going to be right on her and what will
mm,
look good on her, completely changed her around. And I said to her, and I said, I see clothes, I love them, and I think, oh, I want to wear them, but I know they're not my shape, they're not my wardrobe personality, they're not congruent with who I am.
Yes,
Um,
yes, yes.
so it makes a massive difference. It's well, they always say, Sarah, it's just transformed the way I shop and
Mm,
the way they look at themselves.
yeah, I
Because as
found
I
that.
said,
Yeah.
there's no such word as perfect.
No.
We're all perfect the way we are.
Mhm,
And it's just knowing how to dress for your body shape
mhm.
and feeling good. I love makeup, but I'm not saying to people you've got to wear makeup or anything, but if they want to have a little bit, you can put a tiny bit on just to enhance you, so it's working
Yeah.
with the client
Yeah.
and what
Yeah.
she wants. It's not how I
Yeah.
want to dress or how I want her to look, it's
Mhm.
how they want to feel.
Yeah.
And
Mm.
it saves them so much
Yeah.
money. You
Yeah,
know
I was
that.
just gonna say I can see, and it's certainly been true for me that I've saved a lot of money on buying things that were like an emotional buy. I like the look of, and then I put in the wardrobe and think, "Oh, I'll wear it next week, I'll wear it," and you never do, and they're there 5 years later when you're having a sort out and they've still got the label on
Oh,
because you
and
know that they're not the right style for you, not the right
no,
colour.
and so many people, most people only wear 20% of their wardrobe.
Yeah.
And I had one lady who was a bit worried when I did a wardrobe edit. And I said, because obviously lots of people have got emotional items in their wardrobe.
Mm,
And I've got a jumper, cardigan under my bed. I know I will never, ever, ever get rid of it.
yeah.
And I always say to people, we look, when I do a wardrobe edit, I say, get 3 piles, one you love, one you hate, one you're not sure about. The love
Yeah.
one, we look at why you love it. The hate one, why you hate that. It's the I don't know ones that most probably get more attention
Mhm.
because
Mhm.
they don't know, and see if we can, alter,
Yeah, work it
work it
out.
with a night fair. But I always get people to, there's something really emotional. You don't want to get rid of it, don't.
Mhm. I've got
Yeah.
2 cardigans that my mum knitted for me. Wrong colour, wrong style, wrong everything. They're not going
Yeah.
anywhere.
No. It's a
No.
bit like we keep children's clothes, don't we? Or their first
Yeah.
shoes.
Yeah.
And some things you just don't want to get rid of. And that's
Yeah.
fine. I
Yeah.
think
Well,
they
they
think
bring you
people
joy,
think,
so that's enough, is it not, Marie Kondo? Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. Mel says, "Love how Sarah, how you don't like the word perfect because neither does she. Who's to say what
Good.
perfect is?" And it just creates stress on the person who's labeling themselves. And I couldn't agree more, Mel. Absolutely, we are all perfect in our imperfections. I would say.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's a bit like, when we're looking for that perfect body. And I said to you earlier, I remember when I got married, my wedding dress was 25.5-inch waist. I used to think I was fat. And I
Yeah.
always say to people, always embrace who you are and your body, your life now. Because your
Mm,
body, if you don't embrace it now, when are you going to embrace it? Because as we go along
mhm.
in life, it is going to, when I say get worse, that's not the word I want to use, it's going to change.
Yeah.
So if you don't embrace it now, you never ever will. And
Mm,
it's like I do voluntary work with Look Good, Feel Better. And I'm doing their Style with Confidence workshops. And obviously, all these ladies, they had lots of body changes. Some would have put on weight with steroids. And then we say, love your bodies now, because
yeah.
it's in this moment that you need that, especially need that love
So
and
what's that
understand.
charity? Sorry, I don't know that charity.
It's
Sarah Grant,
called
can you tell
Look
us what it is?
Good, Feel Better. I
Uh-huh.
don't know. I'll show you. Um, it's a cancer support charity, and it's
Right.
worldwide. Um, and used to do the makeup side. I've done it with them for about 7 years.
Mhm.
And in 2006, 16, I did a calendar for 2017 and hosted a
Mm.
ball. So I'll show you if anyone can see. See this lady here?
Yeah. Yeah.
So now that lady can wear black. But if you look, and then what happens, and there's no airbrushing here, there's no trick photography.
Wow. Wow. Completely different. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so it's and like this lady, I'll just do
Mhm.
these ones. This lady,
Yeah.
she is
Yeah.
better not wearing. I'm not going to say she can't, because if she loved
Mhm.
it, then I'd say wear it. But look
Mhm.
at the difference. It's a bit,
Just over, up. Wow. Taking the ears off her. Yeah. Look at the
so
face. Look at that smile. Yeah.
yeah, it was. So yeah, so that's why I always say to lady, embrace your bodies now, because it's now that
Absolutely.
you need to do it. Because
That's
obviously
so.
for a
And
lot of
when you say embrace your body now, what do you mean? What do you mean by embrace your body now? Because that's
ex-
one of those things we hear said, and we're like, well, how do I do that? How do I embrace my body now? I think I'm fat.
accept your body
Okay.
for what it is now. I look at my body in the mirror sometimes and I think, oh, we can all. But I think I'm lucky I've got this body. Aren't I lucky that I'm here, that I can stand and look at my body? Because lots of people don't get to that age
So is it
that
a
it can.
gratitude for what you've
It's a,
got, not for what's you want to be different or what's
no,
changed? Is that what you're saying?
no, yes, be grateful for what you've got now,
Yeah.
because as I said, some people never get to that age. It's like a client said to me once, Sarah, oh, I hate getting old. And I said, well, let's change that. She said, how can I change it? I said, let's be grateful that we are the age we are, because so many people don't reach that age.
That's
And
right.
it
Yeah.
really changed her perception and made her just see it differently. Sometimes
Yeah.
the wording that we use has a huge impact. A
Yeah.
bit like when we say loving ourselves, as you say, how do we love ourselves? I think it's a process that we go through, that, tools. I never used to love myself. When I was married, I never used to think I was good enough.
Mhm.
And I think life's experiences teach us. I did the NLP, the image, talking to people, doing lots of self-help, and realizing, actually, I'm really lovely. I love who I am. And I
Mm.
don't mean in an egotistical way, but I love being me,
Yeah.
and I don't want to be anybody else. So I think when we
So
can frame.
when you started saying "I love me," don't want to be anybody, did you actually believe it when you first started saying it, or did you have to say it
I think
in a
it's some of
different
those
way, or
things.
how did you do it? How did you do it?
Um, I think it's some of those things that you have to. I don't know how it really started, but I think I don't know when it started. But yeah, that's a question. It's funny because I did a post on LinkedIn, um, about me and about my life when it started. And at the bottom, I talk about loving myself, and it was always hard to say that, but you know you do. And I think I look in the mirror and I'll talk to myself and I think, you're a
Yeah.
good person.
Yeah.
Look at yourself and do those superpower poses and think, yes. Because if
Yes.
you don't, who else is going to do it for you? It's a
Yeah.
bit like my ex-husband said. He said, you're kind, you're caring, you're lovely to live with, but you don't need me. And I need somebody
Mm.
that needs me. So
Yeah.
that's another thing. When we need somebody to fulfill us,
Yeah.
it's not going to
Yeah.
happen. We
Yeah.
have to fulfill ourselves first.
Mhm.
And then we can, because if we don't, and we rely on somebody else to make us happy, that puts an
Mhm.
awful lot of pressure on the other
Mhm.
person to perform and make
Certainly
you
does.
happy. I
Absolutely.
can't make you happy, or vice versa. Obviously,
Absolutely.
need and want, there's a correlation between the two, but we've got to find, and yes, how do you do it? I think it's a process of self-help, surrounding yourself with people that love you, pick you up, um, congratulate you when you've done something good. Not
Mhm.
scrap, but do you know what I mean? Is have
Yeah.
got your back. Because there's a lot of
Yeah.
people when they find women in business, they sometimes want to put you down, and often it's their
Mm.
own their own insecurities that do it.
Yeah, so finding a good support
Yeah,
network, wherever you are in life, whatever you're doing. Yeah, I quite agree. That's one of the first things I talk about in my program is to find out who is your support network and who in your support network is actually your sabotage network. Because sometimes people come very lightly disguised, don't they?
they do. And I always say people, using your intuition is so, to me, I think that's another big thing
Mm. And that's
is
something
you
you've got to learn because when you've been living in survival, a lot of my ladies have all been through severe trauma. And when you're living in a survival state, even years after the trauma's finished, you don't know how to trust your gut. You don't know what your instincts are anymore because they've switched off. You are just surviving. So yeah, I think we talked when we before we came on, we were saying about getting the appropriate help, weren't we? And seeking out the experts that can help you find your self-worth and boost you up and help you look at what you're not able to look at yourself on your own.
exactly, yeah. I think everybody needs support. I think when we've got love around us and people supporting us, it's like having that cushion. If you fall, it's a softer fall. Whereas you've got
Yeah.
nobody there and you've got that hard fall. Um,
Yeah. Lovely way of
yeah,
putting it. Yeah. I've
it,
certainly found that over the last 5 years really. I've had an incredible amount of grief in my life over the last 5 years since my mum died. And yeah,
oh,
having that soft cushion of love there waiting to catch you has been
mm,
extremely comforting. Yeah, we all deserve
yeah,
that, don't we? We all need
yeah,
that.
yeah. And you
Yeah.
think, well, how did I find it? And I can't put my finger on anything, one thing in particular. It's hard. And I
Mm,
remember when my mum died, it was 11 years ago. She was 88. And everyone said to me, Sarah, you're going to be so bad when your mum dies.
mm,
Um, but it was my sister living in Tasmania that was the worst. When I
yeah.
say the worst, I don't mean it like that. She still struggles. But I think where I had such a lovely relationship with mum,
Mm,
um,
mm,
don't get me wrong, I missed her desperately. And on her funeral, she said, I don't, she always said to me, I never want anyone wearing black. She said, I want everybody to wear colour. And
yeah.
on her funeral, it was a sunny day. I'd got somebody, a friend, doing some catering. The doors were open where everyone was in the garden. The sun was shining. Um, I'd made some of mum's famous cakes. And if you can say a funeral was beautiful, it was.
Yes. A celebration
Because
of life.
it
Mm,
was. It was just glorious.
yeah.
Um, so yeah,
I completely
it,
agree. When my mum died, I kept referring to it, and I still do, as the wedding.
that's a great way. The wedding
Mm, and
to
I can't help
yeah,
it, it just comes it's the wedding because it was, when mum died, my brothers and my kids, we did it ourselves. She wanted a non-religious service. So we did it that way, and it did feel like my mum was an actress, and it felt like her finest moment, and that's what she wanted. She discussed this before she left. She wanted her exit stage left to be magnificent, and we gave it to her. Same as you, no black, all in colour, lots and lots of colour, very theatrical. Yes, I hope she was watching because she would have loved it. Yeah,
yeah, I do.
yes,
It does, and it's my sister even now still struggles. I
yeah.
think because she lived in Australia or
Yeah,
Tasmania.
I think that's it. When you're a long way away, you can kind of still pretend that they're still alive.
Mm.
It's an odd limbo type thing. Yeah,
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 yeah, no,
absolutely.
it's but yes, no. So yes, we've
Mm.
all got to love who we are.
Yeah. On that note, give us your best self-care, self-love practice. What is your favorite one that you do for you that you can share with the listeners?
Oh, I'll always be walking out in nature, and
Yeah.
we as we went in COVID, going on those walks, we all did it. I always say, how many stopped and just listened?
Mm.
To me, it's about, you have to feel it. Yes, we can. There's a really big difference between walking in nature and then stopping and just being and just meditating. I don't meditate enough, but I do know when I meditate, it makes such a big difference.
Is not
Clearing
just
your
stopping
mind.
in nature and being still meditating, would you say?
Yes, it is. If you're, it is. But if I was at home and my brain is going 10 to the dozen,
Mm,
sometimes I'll just
yes.
stop and I'll put some Amazon, a
Mm,
meditation thing, and breathe. It's that
yeah.
breathing
Yeah.
deep. It makes the difference. But yes, I mean, anything to me in nature. No, I went to Denmark and stayed with a friend who, she lives here and in Denmark. And we went down and we were skinny dipping.
Oh,
We were up
beautiful.
at
Mm.
5 and we were skinny dipping to sunrise.
How
Oh my
beautiful.
God. Now, that to
Yeah.
me, it was, I can't explain it. It was just the
Mm.
most magical moment. I
Yeah.
think is one I'll never ever forget. So I think
Mm.
you just, when you're feeling stressed and anxious, just take yourself off. I mean, to me, it'll always be nature or in the
Mm.
garden. I'll often spend a day in the garden. It might be hard
Mm.
work, but I'm with nature.
Yeah.
And I think we
Yeah.
can get so caught up in what
Yeah.
we're doing that we forget, because I forget.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
After I've been with you, I think because it's nice and sunny outside, I'm going to take myself
Mm.
um, for it'll be a short walk tonight, I think.
Lovely.
Um,
Sarah, we are going to have to wrap up. We have managed to talk for nearly 45 minutes. It's flown by as ever. Before you go, if you have had your interest piqued, folks, in listening to what Sarah's had to say, which I found really fascinating. I do find this topic really, really fascinating, how what we wear and it can really change how we feel. There's not only the change from the inside out, it's changing from the outside in. It works both ways, doesn't it? Absolutely works both ways. How can people access your free gift? What is your free gift? How can they get in touch with you? Can you
right.
share that?
So yes, if I was saying to, if anybody wants, they can have a 30-minute complimentary Zoom call with me. Um,
Super.
if they've got any issues they want to discover, or they might just say, Sarah, I've got X, Y, and Z. Can you help me? I'm more than happy to do that.
Super.
Also, if they want to go onto the website, there's 2 free books they can download. There's one's about your wardrobe personality, and one is about style.
Lovely.
So yes, I mean, I
Mm.
love helping people and chatting. I'm not. People are watching. They know I'm not scary.
Not at all, not at all. So will you pop in to my profile, and underneath this recording, would you mind just putting in those details so that people know exactly how to contact you? If you pop your
You
email in there and
want
you
me to
pop
do that
your
now?
website. Yes, as soon as we've come offline, if you could do that, that would be absolutely lovely. And then people can find you, and I'll make sure that it goes in the show notes for YouTube so people can find you. Sarah, I think our time is up with a few
Oh,
seconds to spare. It's been absolutely wonderful. I could chat with you all day. Thank you so much for coming on and
and
sharing your
thank
wisdom with
you for
us. Thank you
having
so
me.
much. Yeah, and thank
Lovely.
you. Thank you for being so vulnerable and honest with us. And yeah, ladies, get in touch with Sarah. She's definitely not scary. And, she's offering you a free 30-minute consultation with her. So get get into her inbox and let her
Yeah,
help
no,
let
uh,
her brighten up your wardrobe. Sarah,
yes.
thank you so much.
Thank you very much,
We'll sign out.
Sarah. Thank
And
you.
thank you so much, everybody. See you next week, where we'll have more insights, wisdom, and practical tips to help you live your limitless life. Thank you so much, everybody. Mwah.
Bye. Thank you.